All right, welcome back, people. We are now into Cantor at Your Own Risk, episode 39, part B. This is going to be the second part of our 2022 Christmas special, where we talk about our favorite animated movies. Part A was Kevin going over his top 5 CGI, and we're going to start part B with me hitting up my top 5 with my number 5, I think the newest on my list, which is Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. If you know anything about me, you know that I am like a super huge, giant comic nerd. Like one of the only things that I've done through Kent's webpage that I kicked off was the analysis of all of the 21 Marvel movies leading up to Avengers Endgame before that came out. And I was pleasantly shocked and surprised by how good Into the Spider-Verse was. The story was really well written. The casting was spot on for most of the parts. You know, like Nicolas Cage doing Spider-Man Noir was, like a highlight for me. And I love the animation style, which I don't know if you guys have seen Arcane on Netflix, but it's almost like this super stylized CG paint mix. I don't know how to describe it. But I can't recommend it high enough. I mean, especially for something Marvel's put out within what would have been, Phase 4.
This was still put out by Sony, right? Not Disney, correct?
Yeah, this was another one of the ones where it was the collaboration between, the two of them.
Yeah, that makes sense. This was actually high up on a live list I looked at. So, I didn't see it streaming anywhere. Did you find it streaming, or?
It looks like it's just on FX, for the easy stuff without going into, like Plexi or the smaller streaming services that offer, all sorts of stuff for free, but with ads.
Okay. That makes sense. I may even own this on Vudu. I'm not sure.
Yeah, this is one of the ones that we, have. We have most of the Marvel stuff, but
yeah. Yeah, it looked good. I haven't watched any of the... Actually, I haven't watched a Spider-Man movie since the third Tobey Maguire one.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Not like its own Spider-Man movie. Let's put it that way. I mean, I saw him in the other Marvel ones, but the ones with what was it, Andrew Garfield and with Tom Holland, I haven't seen.
Oh, the Tom
any of those.
Holland ones are really good.
Yeah,
for the late stage of Marvel that is.
The last one, yeah.
Some of the better ones. I haven't seen the last one, but...
Oh, the last one is straight up... I mean, if you enjoyed the other ones, then the last one is like straight up nostalgia bait. And I would say this is almost like the animated version of, copy between No Way Home and like Batman Beyond. If you watch that animated series back in the day.
Oh, yeah. No, I liked the Batman the animated series. Probably I'm most familiar with, but yeah, I liked Spider-Man Into the Spideyverse though. I saw it because it was nominated for Best Animated Feature. I was rooting for another movie, so I was a little bit disappointed when it won. But then when I saw it, I was like, okay, I get it. This is actually pretty awesome. I was really surprised that it won because I was like, really, a Marvel Spider-Man movie? And it really had a lot of layers. It made a lot of sense to the guys who won were like, anyone can be behind the mask, because I was really confused about what they were talking about. And it almost sets up kind of what Marvel is doing now, the different multiverses and different characters and stuff. It kind of fits into it before they really even fully got into it. Yeah, this was really cool. And Nicolas Cage as Noir Spider-Man was absolutely the best. Like it was good up to that point, but it was like it kind of made the movie fun again. Like I don't know, when you just get excited.
Yeah, and they did a good job, I think, with Kingpin too, in giving him motivations and stuff. So it wasn't just. I mean, it's sad when in an animated movie you have a better villain for Marvel than you do in like 3/4 of their live action films that they've done.
I liked Michael Clark Duncan the first time, but rewatching Daredevil is tough every time. Um, that Ben Affleck movie, anyways. But
Oh yeah,
yeah, no,
It's very difficult.
yeah, I think I do like Vincent D'Onofrio in the show. Um,
yeah. He did. The show definitely got what makes Kingpin scary as a villain. It's not that he's this giant white guy who can throw you around through a roof or whatever. It's literally because he owns like everything, and he can find a way to put pressure on you or get to you. So yeah, they hit that great in the Netflix show.
yeah, and I think maybe they got it so well and into the Spideyverse is because they're basing it off the comic book, and like with the movies, I feel like they were always kind of like basing it off of like cartoon versions or like what trying to make it more of a cartoon version because of like the success of like Tim Burton's Batman, like kind of legitimized comic book movies, and it was like a lot. They're like a those first two are like live cartoons, or even Schumacher's ones are kind of like live cartoons also. But
Oh, the Schumacher's are Batman and Robin is a cartoon.
Yeah, absolutely.
A bad cartoon.
Yeah.
A very bad cartoon.
But you can have fun, but it's almost like, self-aware. It's a disaster, but it's just kind of fun to watch when you know how bad it is. Like you can go back and watch it. It's like you can either have fun with it or like, why are you watching it?
It's better on repeat viewings because at that point the disappointment's gone. You already know what it is, and now you're like, all right, how much are they kind of just like going for fun? And like Arnold clearly is going for some
I was going to say that he's better every single time I see it. It was really terrible the first time, and Uma Thurman I think is good every time. Wait, is she in that one? Yeah.
Yeah. She was okay. She was okay. Arnold was okay. It didn't know what it wanted to be.
Oh yeah.
No.
Well, it wanted to be successful, and it didn't. It didn't. It didn't do that.
Well, yeah. Well, it knew that, but yeah. All right. Anything you guys want to add, Kent?
Nay.
All right, going on to my number 4. We're sticking with the superhero theme with The Incredibles from 2004. And I think we've seen this, I want to say a bunch, but more often than we have since then. But the idea of, like, what would superheroes be like in the real world in regards to, like, oh, they cause so much damage that the insurance companies won't cover them anymore, so now they all have to retire and go be normal humans, or at least pretend to be normal humans. And, I mean, I think it would be real easy to do a top 5 list of CGI animated movies and just have them all be Pixar. Between WALL-E, The Incredibles, the Toy Story movies, Up, there's just a ton of things that they really are good at making good stories that manipulate your emotions while you're watching them. But, this one kind of hit for me because, relatively there aren't a lot of ones made for, I guess, kind of like adult men. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, a lot of like the themes from Toy Story will resonate with you as you've, about growing up and your toys and going through that stuff. But, you don't see a ton of like Pixar, Disney animated movies with action aimed towards guys. And this one, felt like that, with Craig T. Nelson as Mr. Incredible as the main character, as the dad. going through it. You know, the whole family are important. But in addition, you know, I liked a lot of the comedy between Edna and Jason Lee as the fucking villain. You know, I thought it just worked for me. I don't know if it had come out after the comic book resurgence, if it would have made as big an impression as it did coming out before. You know, on the heels of, like, bad Daredevil kind of idea.
I haven't
What do you guys
seen
think? Poor cat. I'm just kidding. What about you, Kevin?
I haven't seen this either.
Okay.
But I've been told to watch it like a whole bunch of times. Like people were talking about it when it came out. I was not interested in seeing it, but I meant to see it on this list, but I kind of like, as you said, Chris, like it'd be too easy to do like a list of like 5 Pixar films, so I decided to kind of only pick one Pixar film for the CGI and like one Disney movie for like the animated, because I feel like that also could be the same way. And I kind of wanted to venture out more because I have Disney Plus, and this is definitely one that I wanted to watch. But also I knew that everyone loves this movie, so I figured it was probably going to be on at least on one of your guys' list.
I find it really funny that my son will sit there and watch animated movie after animated movie, and yet, like, I put The Incredibles on, and he's like, "Nope, I'm out. I check out." He doesn't even like watch a couple minutes of it. He's just gone. I'm like, well, you know, my favorite one, you won't even bother watching, buddy.
Of course, right?
Yep.
That makes sense.
Same thing. Like, I tried to get him to watch the 2007 Ninja Turtle movie. Nope, not interested in that one at all.
Will he watch the old one from the 80s?
No, he doesn't do traditional animation very often.
Gotcha.
Like, he'll do Princess and the Frog every once in a while, and once in a while we get him to watch something a little bit older, but most of the time, like, he'll like leave it on. He won't turn it off, but he just won't focus on it.
That makes sense.
However, my number 3 is probably my number 3 because of how often my son has made me force me to watch this, and that is going to be Despicable Me by Illumination from 2010. This, I guess, is kind of closer to like a James Bond world than a superhero world, but it's the idea that one of the villains ends up becoming, you know, the good guy after adopting a couple of kids. But yeah, I love the humor. You know, Steve Carell kills it. I mean, they got Julie Andrews to come in and play his mom for a couple of scenes, and she just absolutely, like, if you haven't seen it, like, she crushes his self-esteem, like, every single time she's in there. It's amazing.
Julie Andrews?
Yeah, Julie Andrews.
Really?
There's like a scene for showing him why he wants to go to space to steal the moon when he's a kid. He's like, "Mom, look, I drew a picture of a rocket." She's like, "Uh-huh." And then it cuts to, "Mom, I made a prototype of the rocket." "Uh-huh." "Mom, I made an actual rocket that'll take..." She's like, "It's too late, son. They're no longer sending monkeys to the moon." Yeah, it was just like rough as a mom for him. Russell Brand is in it, and you know, I like him personally, but I'm not a huge fan of like a lot of his movies. But he plays a good supporting character in this. Yeah, I've gone as Gru for Halloween before, so I mean, yeah, a good portion of why this was on my list was because of, you know, familiarity and how much I've watched it. I might even like part 2 a little bit more because it builds on the characters that you've already established in part 1, but you know, for seeing it for the first time and the Minions, you know, they've kind of gone overboard with them since this came out, but like when you're first introduced them, they're like some of the best little sidekicks in the history of animated movies. You know, they just work.
Believe it or not, I've actually seen this.
Oh shit.
It took us 8 movies, but I finally have seen a movie on the list. So, yay.
Proud of you.
Yeah, thanks. I deserve an award or an achievement award, something. A plaque, maybe? I don't know. But yeah, this movie was really funny. But I don't know. I think we all probably tried keeping to like one movie from each like safe film studio, and I'm pretty sure one of my picks is from. This was from Illumination, right? You said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I chose something from them, something different.
I probably guess, but I'll wait till you get to your list.
Yeah, it's not the Lorax.
Have you seen this one, Kevin?
No, I haven't. I've seen bits and pieces of it. My niece and nephews have it. I know that they're one of the minions in one of the movies is named Kevin, and I had like a boss at like Dunkin' Donuts who like just always said that I reminded her of that. But I think it's just because we had the same name, and I had no idea what she was talking about. But no, you sold me, man. Julie Andrews in it, like small part. Steve Carell. All right.
Yeah, Steve Carell's the main character.
The cast is brilliant, man.
Yeah, he kills it. Like one of the things too is they've done 3 actual Despicable Me movies and a couple of like prequels, but in each of the 3, the villain's been great too. It was Jason Segel, and then who played El Macho? Give me a second, and then you know what? Just give me 2 seconds. It was Benjamin Bratt was the villain in the second one. And I think it was one of the South Park guys who was the villain in the third one.
Like one of the main guys?
Yeah, Trey Parker.
Oh.
Trey Parker?
Yeah.
That would be worth seeing. Or hearing, or whatever.
Yeah, so I mean, he's a little cleaner.
Yeah.
And Despicable Me than he is in South Park. But
that seems interesting to me.
So I mean, it's interesting, you know, you're dealing with like kind of spy gadgets and stuff. You know, shrink rays, freeze guns, you know, so like a little more high tech than James Bond, but you know, that kind of campy level. You know, villains going against each other. There's a bank that only caters to villains. There's an anti-villain league later on in the series. It's good. I mean, Kristen Wiig plays a part in the first one, and she plays a different part in the second one. I just, they did a good job with the casting. They did a good job with the writing. And it's got the comedy and the emotions that, you know, like all the really good animated movies bring out in you.
I think it's kind of cool, like, just, you know, between Kevin's list, your list, and, you know, my impending list, like, how great the talent is in most of these movies. Like, the name talent that they get is, you know, stacked in almost all of these movies, really.
Oh, yeah. I would agree. I wish... Yeah, I think there have been times that there have been animated movies that are probably worth running, you know, against the main movies of the year. And the fact that they're relegated to, you know, a separate Oscar category kind of sucks sometimes.
It's almost intentional.
All right, my number 2, and this is probably going to be the highest debatable one on my list, but I really enjoyed it, is Beowulf from 2007. The one that Robert Zemeckis did.
Zemeckis is a solid dude, so...
I mean, I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was written by Neil Gaiman, you know, the guy who did The Sandman that just came out on Netflix.
Yeah.
So it changed up the story a little bit from the prototypical Beowulf saga retelling. But it made it, I don't know, I think it did a pretty decent job of modernizing it. You know, in regards to, making Beowulf not just like a superhuman, no flaw character. It might have gone a little bit too far in the opposite direction, but I mean, looking at the CGI now, it looks a little old, but for something 15 years old, looking at the facial rendering that they did from the people as they transposed them in, it's pretty amazing. And the cast is fucking great too. Again, like you were saying, in regards to talent, you've got Ray Winstone, Angelina Jolie, Anthony Hopkins, Crispin Glover, Robin Wright, John Malkovich, yeah, Brendan Gleeson. I mean, shit.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking stacked, dude.
Yeah. It didn't do as well in the box office as people would have wanted it to, so that hurt it when it came out. I think, I don't remember what studio actually did the animation for this, but I don't think they went on to do much more afterwards.
I remember, like, the commercials for this, or the trailer, whatever, like, it just didn't strike me as something I really wanted to see at the time. I don't know. Looking now at the trailer, like, it definitely looks very dated. It actually looks like a video game in a lot of ways. But I also didn't realize all the talent that was in it. I actually have a picture of me and Russ doing some kind of parody of Beowulf for an English class back in high school. I think he was Beowulf, and I think I was Grendel, a hip-hop star. Don't know how we got to that point, but we did. So, there is that.
No shit.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen this, but I'm excited that Roger Avery wrote the screenplay with Neil Gaiman. So he has only directed a few movies, but I love Killing Zoe and The Rules of Attraction. And he also wrote Pulp Fiction. So, well, he did the story and did one part of Pulp Fiction.
Which part did he do?
He did the Bruce Willis part, the whole Zed thing, and then it's like a little bit. You can kind of tell if you've seen Killing Zoe, also starring Julie Delpy. There's definitely like a connection of the weirdness of of that scene.
You know what? I could see that I could see that in the Beowulf, having seen it now. Now, yeah, for sure.
So, but yeah, I haven't seen it either, and I probably would have had no interest when it came out. And I think I saw this on a list, but I didn't know it looked like it was too live action. But the fact that this is live action motion capture CGI, which was like, I don't know. Yeah, it looks interesting for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that they can take a 1400 old story and make it interesting probably is one of the things that I enjoyed about it. All right. And to go on to my number one, I have something related to one of Kevin's, and that's going to be a Scanner Darkly from 2006. Excuse me. Directed by Richard Linklater off of a story by Philip K. Dick, one of the greatest science fiction novelists ever. He's given us, Total Recall, Blade Runner, just, a ton of stuff that we've used for the basis for different storylines. This one is not one that I enjoy. It's one that bothers me. Like as we've discussed a couple times doing the horror movies, it's hard to find something scary now when you watch so many movies within a genre, or when you go through stuff in real life that's scarier than the majority of like the scenarios that you run into a horror movie. So movies that disturb me typically end up sticking with me far longer than, a lot of generic horror movies that we watch. In this one, the shit that ends up happening to Keanu's character, bothered me finishing it up. So the premise is that cops in the future, because so much stuff is constantly monitored, hide their identities by wearing these suits that show other people's faces every couple seconds when they're at work, so nobody knows what they actually look like. And they all have code names too, so it's not like, I would know that it would be like, say, Kent. I just wouldn't know what he looked like. Kent would be like nicknamed Frank or something. And there's this new drug going around. I don't remember what the hell it was called, but it was blue, that basically causes you to trip and experience visions and hallucinations and whatnot. But prolonged use begins to destroy your mental capacity, and if it gets bad enough, withdrawal from it will actually cause you to have brain damage. So the long story short, Keanu is a cop, and he's sent undercover to live in a house with a bunch of drug users in an attempt to find out, where their deals are coming from in order to bring it down. And he gets addicted to the drug and ends up losing his mind, becoming brain damaged, and he's sent off to work at this kind of like halfway house that this company runs. And you find out that his superiors knew that this was going to happen, and the whole reason that they got him addicted was so he could get installed in this halfway house where they suspect the drug is coming from, and hope that he has enough of his mind left to be able to ship them some evidence in order to bring this place down. But, they completely destroy this guy's life in order to do that, and I was just like, wow, that's fucking dark. But, I mean, you've got Keanu, you've got Robert Downey Jr., you've got Winona Ryder, Woody Harrelson. It's a bunch of good performances all around. This is be like one of those movies I point to when people say Keanu can't act, and be like, well, I mean, have you seen A Scanner Darkly? So I don't know.
Keanu can act, and Substance D is what the drug is. Yeah.
Thank you.
Like, wow. Yeah. So
thank you.
Yeah, because that was driving me crazy too. Yeah. Substance D. Yeah. It's kind of like so meshed up. Like you got the storyline is kind of like I don't think I'd ever be able to explain it as well as you did, because it's kind of like the movie. Keanu's character starts losing it, and he's not even really sure who's going on, and I'm losing all the names, and I'm like, wait, which character is Frank?
He when he starts getting the damage from the drug, the two sides of his brain stop communicating with each other, so he forgets one side of his brain thinks he's the cop, one side of his brain thinks he's the person in the house undercover, and he begins to forget, that he's the same person. He's basically living two separate lives at the exact same time. They do some really interesting work with the camera too to play off that. He's having an interview, and he'll be looking at the people, and they'll be sitting on one side of the room, and then it'll flip over, and they'll be sitting on the opposite side of the room, within just a quick cut scene transition.
I think I would enjoy watching this, looking at who's in it, and I don't even really remember this coming out, to be perfectly honest. I don't remember many trailers or anything.
I do remember seeing a lot of trailers for it, but it, after it came out, it was not a super popular, well-received movie. I mean, it wasn't poorly received, but once people started seeing what it was compared to what the trailers were showing, it wasn't going to ever make, blockbuster sales.
Most people that I know that have seen this movie, are big Philip K. Dick fans, and actually, this guy's telling me that this is one of the better adaptations of it, according to some guy. I don't know. We watched Screamers together, so I feel like I know he knows what he's talking about. Um, so yeah, I think maybe I thought it was going to be more fun when I saw it the first time, but it was kind of like I really didn't know what to do with it. But it was like it was cool, but like I really didn't know what to do with all of it. It was kind of like confusing. Um, but I mean, I own it and I watch it, and yeah, the way you described, like movies that disturb you, um, like terrifying elements, or just movies that just kind of end really like in a dark way, um, that kind of leave you unsatisfied. I always found myself kind of always like going back to those movies because I would think the first time like, oh, I don't really like that, but then something about it, I always end up going back to it to see like why I don't like it. And yeah, there is definitely like a lot of like paranoia and a lot of like conversations and almost like some talking in circles with Woody and Robert Downey Jr., which are great. The Absolutely great. So good choice.
Thanks, man. So yeah, that's my list, Kent. What do you got going on?
All right. So for my number 5, once again, kind of keeping the whole idea of just doing one from each thing, I went with Ants, mainly because when I saw Ants and A Bug's Life, I honestly thought Ants was a better movie. I don't know.
Spoilers, it is.
Like, it didn't get nearly the reception because it didn't have the backing of, was it Disney or Pixar? Both? I don't know, but like...
Was Bug's Life the first Disney Pixar one? Like, after they bought Pixar?
Yeah, so, like, it just didn't have the promotional backing or anything, but it was the better movie. Cast, I mean, you can look at both casts and be like, well, how do I pick? And whatever, you don't pick. But as far as the story goes of, both about insects, I don't know. I really do feel that Ants wins out, plus it kind of fits with everything else we got going on, so I didn't have to use my Pixar choice on A Bug's Life. That's really the main rationalization here. I haven't watched Ants in probably 8 to 10 years, so I can't really tell you too much about it, other than I remember liking Ants better. Anybody want to add to that?
Yeah, I'm a big Woody Allen fan, so yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, like, I do think this cast is better than A Bug's Life. I do like the fact that there's no praying mantises in this, so that automatically gets a +1 from me. For those of you who don't know, praying mantises are like the scariest thing in the world to me. Even though the one in A Bug's Life was kind of a puss.
No.
I did not know that about you, but now I know. And knowing...
There's a reason why Mimic is one of the highest rated scary movies for me.
Yeah, my girlfriend doesn't like bugs either. She doesn't like any. Yeah, Mimic. She's like, oh no. But this was really cool. Sharon Stone, Sylvester Stallone. Yeah, I didn't see. Yeah, Danny Glover, Gene Hackman, Gene
Danny Glover,
yeah, Dan Aykroyd, Anne Bancroft, Jane Curtin.
Very distinctive voices. All of these people. Yeah, walk-in. So, Jane.
And Walken actually has one of the better roles in the movie.
Colonel Cutter.
Like is he the main bad guy? He is, right? Yeah. Oh, John Mahoney. He was from Frasier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just a solid overall endeavor, and I don't know. I to this day, nobody really talks about Ants nearly as much as most of these other CGI movies. It just doesn't get brought up in conversation, I don't think.
I think a lot of it has to do with the taint of Woody Allen being in it.
So which taint is worse, the Kevin Spacey or the Woody Allen taint?
Well, I would say the Kevin Spacey, because, I mean, that's, straight up rape. And Woody Allen is probably the worst thing that you can accuse of him. I mean, I'm not excusing it. Would be grooming.
Yeah, the Woody Allen one is like a
Yeah,
complicated
there's a
matter.
lot.
Kevin Spacey is pretty much like straight up, like, I don't know, like admittedly guilty. And Woody Allen, yeah, no, you can the whole grooming thing. It's weird. It's super weird. I would watch this though because there's a lot more going on than just Woody Allen. Even though he's like the main character, but it's not like he didn't write it, right? He's just like a character. Yeah, he just starred in it. So
Yeah, no, he was just in it.
I barely remember this movie. I feel like I saw it, but I don't know. Like, yeah, in the late '90s. Yeah, they both came out the same year. I remember that. I haven't seen A Bug's Life either. I've seen it in pieces, but um,
I mean, one of the other things I'll give for this one over A Bug's Life was this was an original story. You know, trite, tropey, but original, whereas A Bug's Life was basically just the ant and the grasshopper.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And you can find ants on Peacock, supposedly. So that's been nice. Almost all of our picks have been available on something aside from Scanner Darkly was on something called Kanopy, which I am not familiar with.
you need a library card, and it's only if certain libraries participate in it. But it's cool. Like, but I don't. The library, my public library, doesn't participate in it, so I think it's probably like bigger city libraries, or like if you're like a student, you get a library card, and then you get this like free streaming thing. It was on Criterion.
So Johnstown's probably not going to cut it, right?
I don't know.
I'm guessing probably not.
Laconia,
But
New Hampshire. doesn't
okay,
cut it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
me and my girlfriend have both tried, and it's yeah, that's it.
Fair enough. Yeah. All right.
All right.
Moving on. My number 4 is another movie I haven't seen in many years, but I still remember it quite fondly, and that is Ice Age, which has Dennis Leary, John Leguizamo, surprisingly in a good role, Ray Romano, Cedric the Entertainer, Jack Black, Stephen Root, Diedrich Bader, Alan Tudyk. It was a lot of fun for its time. My biggest fear and why I honestly didn't really want to go back to watch is I'm not sure how well it's going to hold up. Like, if it's still going to be as funny as it was when I first saw it. Like, have either of you watched it recently by any chance?
I haven't watched it recently. I would assume the first one probably still holds up pretty well, considering that they went on to make, what, like 7 or 8 of them?
Yeah, they did. This was actually one of the free movies I got from Vudu when I first signed up. Like, I got like 5 or 6 free movies, and Ice Age was one of them. So this is one of my very first digital movies.
Well, that's cool. I haven't seen it. I think, and it's a movie that I remember, like, in like an adult life, other adults were like, "Oh, Ice Age is pretty good, actually." You know, you don't need to like watch it with a kid, you know, because that's usually how I, for a while, would only watch cartoons, you know, or animated films, like with a child.
Yeah, I would say that you wouldn't. You can absolutely enjoy it as an adult by yourself. Like, it'll still make you laugh. I'm just not sure how good the humor is going to hold up. Quite frankly, I think that's all it comes down to. But Dennis Leary really never lets me down. So, and plus it's weird. Like, Dennis Leary as the lead of an animated film, like back in 2002, is kind of just weird to think about.
Interesting choice. You think he would be like maybe like, you know, one of the small parts with like a distinctive voice, but him leading. That sounds cool.
I think it's funny, too, that they list him as number 1 in the credits on IMDb, but, you know, like Ray Romano is definitely the main character, and he's listed first on the poster.
Right, yeah. Because Ray was the mammoth, right?
Yeah, he was the Manny.
Yeah. Yeah, it is weird how that's listed, but IMDb lists things weirdly at times. Like sometimes it goes with like the credits, like at the end of the movie, and sometimes it doesn't. It's very confusing.
Yes, I would agree.
So with that being, actually, I didn't look up to see where it's streaming, mainly because I own it. But just to check where it would be streaming, it's on Disney Plus. So. No surprise that a lot of the movies that we talked about is going to be on Disney Plus. All right, my number 3, which I just finished watching right before we got on here, is A Secret Life of Pets, or The Secret Life of Pets, whatever. This is my Illumination film choice. It wasn't as funny as the first time I saw it, but the opening like 10 to 15 minutes and like the last 10 to 15 minutes still hold up really well. Somewhere in the middle they tried like adding an action adventure story, which of course they kind of had to do, I guess, to appeal to whomever. But what was really appealing about the opening and closing was showing how our pets like react to us, like how dogs will just wait and how just like their tail wiggles and all their stupid little intricacies they've really nailed early on, and I think that was where the charm came from, and then they tacked on the story. And when I finished, I thought to myself, what could have actually been just as interesting to me as an adult is if they tried doing like a nature documentary with this type of comedy to it. Just exploring the lives of animals. They could have done that, and I think that could have actually been really, really funny instead of doing like, oh, these 2 dogs get caught by the animal catchers and then they get rescued and all that stuff. We didn't really need that. They could have just done like a little fake documentary. Would have been kind of fun. This also had Louis C.K., so another one of these films that has a weird lead taint, so to speak, but he was quite good in it. I would say Jenny Slate and Lake Bell steal the show in this one, but there's a lot of good talent in it. Have either of you guys seen this one?
I haven't. I thought you were going to be talking about a different one for Illumination.
Which one did you think?
I thought you were going to be going with How to Train Your Dragon.
Never seen it.
No, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen either of them. But I remember we were talking like last week, and you mentioned that one, and it wasn't on any streaming service that I had anyway. So I remember now checking it out.
Yeah, I looked for it and I couldn't find it anywhere. So that was a problem. It's weird that some of these movies you still just can't find, like, I don't know if I'd consider this a big movie, but like it was a relatively successful movie. Also, Kevin Hart's really good as the little bunny called Snowball. He fits the role pretty good.
I remember seeing that in the trailers, yeah.
And I always like Albert Brooks. I don't know, there's something, every time I see him, like, like in the opening of Twilight Zone, the movie, and then like in Drive, and then this, like, you can't get really 3 different types of roles, but he nails all 3 of them in his own weird way. Also, it's Hank Scorpio in The Simpsons.
Al Brooks is a legend.
So yeah, he really is. Like, he just, I don't know, he's on a different level for me at least. Also, they had No Sleep Till Brooklyn in this, so that's always a win for me. But yeah, if anybody hasn't seen it, I would recommend it. And my number 2 is probably the most obscure of my list, and that's a film called Nine. I don't know. I just have this feeling that neither of you have seen it. Have either of you seen it?
I love Timur Membeknitov. I have all of his movies that he's released in the U.S. on DVD.
Well, all right.
No, I haven't seen it.
Good to know.
That sounds odd, but it looks really good, and I've heard it referenced. I don't know. I think when we were doing the Cube-like movies, it was like referenced into one of those movies for some reason. I don't know if that makes sense, but I haven't seen it. But it's like sci-fi. It's PG-13.
Yeah, there's like a lot of steampunk aspects. The little puppets are actually called Stitch Punks. Once again, another great voice cast: Elijah Wood, Jennifer Connelly, Crispin Glover, Christopher Plummer, Martin Landau, John C. Reilly. Really good. It's one of the scarier. Obviously it was rated PG-13, so it wasn't meant for little kids. I think this would actually scare little kids. There's a couple of scenes that are really creepy as hell, because there's a machine that creates other machines, and it like creates like a cat beast and a bird beast, and there's something called the seamstress, which is like a giant, I don't know, caterpillar type thing that like puts the puppets in like cocoons, and it's all kind of creepy and shit. One of the cool things is the film opens up with the puppet named Nine waking up, and the very first puppet that he meets is Two, so we get a little Nine Deuce reference.
The real reason.
So, I didn't even realize that. Didn't realize it when I first watched. I was like, "Holy shit! Okay, that's cool." I don't know. There's something just weird about it. It kind of also reminds me a little bit of like the video game Little Nightmares. I don't know. Kind of remind me a little bit of that, the aesthetic. There's probably a lot of social stuff going on in here that I'm sure people that like to kind of sink their teeth into could probably go into. I don't know. It's kind of neat that the scientist basically divided his soul into 9 different areas and like put them in these little puppets. I don't know. There's a lot going on. So, and there's also a really creepy scene where they kind of are celebrating and they're listening to Somewhere Over the Rainbow right before shit gets really real. So, yeah. Overall, if you're looking for something probably closer to adult than, say, the Disney movies, I would definitely recommend this. I don't know if, once again, I didn't bother to look to see if it was on anything.
It doesn't look like it. I was going to watch it, but then it wasn't. But it's produced by Tim Burton, and you sold me.
Yeah. Oh. You're right. It's not anywhere. So I picked 2 movies that you can't find anywhere. That's fucking great. I'm proud of myself. Oh, well.
Well, you can always rent it.
Yeah. This was a movie that I definitely, once I read it, I was like, I really need to own this. And then when I was looking for movies like on one of the random Vudu sales I saw, and I was like, yeah, I'll buy it for $5. Why the hell not? So, good purchase. So, my final movie is the Disney Pixar movie Up, because I can't think of a movie that hits you so hard in the stomach so freaking early on as freaking Up does. I remember taking my then girlfriend, like this was like our first or second date, to see this in 3D, and like 10 minutes in, like all of a sudden I'm crying in front of this girl that I'm like, like not trying to impress, but like, trying to have a good time. Like, well, this is the weirdest damn beginning to a date I can recall. And like, while it has its somber moments, it also has so many funny moments, mainly like with the dog and the little boy named Russell. Ed Asner plays the main guy, and he's got a great distinctive voice for animation. So that's cool. I think Christopher Plummer is also in this one, which is weird that he's in my top 2.
Yes, he is.
I don't know. Like, it's such a weird movie because there are sad Disney movies. Like, I mean, Bambi, I think, makes a lot of people sad, but I don't know. Like, if there's a sadder Disney movie than frickin' Up, I can't think of one because you just see this evolution of this couple from being cute kids, like, loving each other, and then slowly she's not able to do stuff. She dies of frickin' cancer, and he's just living alone, sad. That's pretty fucked up, man. For a Disney movie, So, yeah, that's where I'm going. Plus, it's very colorful. I don't know about you guys, but like a lot of these, especially like the Pixar and Disney movies, they really go to town by just going with like super bright, vibrant colors most of the time. Like, it looks great, but it's just, I feel like they kind of got stuck in a rut for a good decade just trying to do as much bright color as possible.
One of my favorite stories from this movie is a close couple friend of mine and my wife's that ended up, moving away, but, we ended up having kids around the same time and all that stuff. I remember they saw it in the theater first, and then they went to watch it with my wife, and they're like, the girl was like, if you don't cry within the first 10 minutes of this, you're not human. And my wife sitting through like the first 10 minutes and she's not crying, and Ashley looks over at her and she's like, you're not human.
I don't know how you don't cry. It's a pretty damn sad story.
Yeah.
Kevin, did you see this?
I did, because you suggested it. I didn't cry in the beginning of it, but it was like a super, like, it was a big downer moment because I don't know, I guess like you have an expectation of what like the structure of this movie is going to be in the beginning, which I loved all of like the black and white stuff. I don't think I've seen a CGI movie that had like a real 50s kind of, or maybe even earlier, but like, black and white, picture kind of feel to it. So, but yeah, like the she dies so quickly, it just cuts. How long does it cut? Like 60 years?
Yeah,
something like that.
There. Yeah.
In like 15 minutes, 6 minutes, something like that.
It's just, it doesn't follow your typical structure of what you come in expecting. And it was a good call though, because, from that, within like 2-3 minutes, we have, the main dude just dealing with this annoying chubby kid trying to get some badge for helping the elderly. So, it was fun, in that regard. The dogs are great, especially Doug. I don't know, everything about like dogs and squirrels. I noticed that they did a lot of squirrel jokes in Secret Life of Pets, and then they did the squirrels was like one of the main jokes in Up. I don't know. Is that really like a thing? Do dogs have like this crazy like hard-on for squirrels or something?
The last one I had did.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, it's like nuts for like moving creatures and stuff. Like, yeah, it was legitimately funny though, this movie. I remember when he said, "Yeah, you in the suit, take a bath, hippie." Like, I was like cracking up at that because it was just, I don't know, it was good. And the Boy Scout kid, I don't know, it was a weird story, but like at the very end, I did get the feels, and I didn't shed a tear, but I felt it and was almost there. But what's it like to cry in 3D?
Oh, dude, because you got the weird glasses on, and then it's like, well, now you got to move the glasses, and there was no manly dignity involved there. I'll put it that way. One of the funnier lines, though, is early on, and it's like, I'm going where he's going, South America. It's like America, but South. I think that's a great line. So,
did you know that Kevin was a girl? What's the line?
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny too, but that was probably on a personal level. Oh, Kevin's a girl.
I'd forgotten that was the name of the bird, and then all of a sudden I was like, well, I'm glad that I recommended it to Kevin. I'm sure he'll get a little chuckle out of that. So,
yeah, great choice.
thank you. I'm glad that we all got through 5 films and no repeats whatsoever. That's kind of cool. Like, that was not, I mean, yes, we did kind of check, but like, we didn't plan that out, which is just rare.
I worked hard to make sure I wasn't doing like the real easy choices on this one.
Yeah, same.
Okay, I was the lazy one of the group. I don't care. I took the shortcut home.
No, I mean, like we said, I mean, it's real easy to pick. Like 99% of these lists could be like Toy Story 1, Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3, WALL-E, and Up. I mean, there you go. That's like.
Oh, dude, I wanted the other one that I don't know about you guys, but like the hardest one that I had to cut out was Monsters Inc. Because that to me was another great one. But it was Pixar.
Another one I heard great things. Was that one Pixar?
Yeah.
I get so confused.
If I had to do a 6th for CGI, I probably would have put Shrek down.
I was just going to say, Shrek was the one that I was surprised that wasn't on anybody's list. Because
I figured it was going to be on someone's list, and I've seen it so many times. Like, it came out while I worked in Video World in Johnstown, and so it was always playing. I did sit down and watch the entire thing once after that, because it is pretty good. But yeah, I was like, I don't want to watch Shrek again.
If I had to do favorite individual scenes, maybe the scene in the first one when Farquaad pulls off the gingerbread man's legs, that might be my favorite scene in an anime, CGI anime. Run as fast as you can.
It definitely deserves to be on a list, but I kind of went with like notable movies, and everyone, I don't know, but I come from a different era, but I'm sure like everyone, Shrek's like universal, right? Like all the kids of today see Shrek.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just releasing Puss in Boots next week or something, right?
Yeah, that's what, the second or the third one?
I don't know. They've had however many sequels along the way, so.
Well, they did 3 Shreks.
Yes.
And the TV show, and Puss in Boots. And I don't know if this is Puss in Boots 2 or Puss in Boots 3, but I mean, it's been a couple years either way. I know they're talking about rebooting Shrek. So that would.
Is there a point in rebooting a like? I see no real logic in that one. Am I alone in that? Other than making money, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know, but like, it depends. I haven't seen it recently. Like, I'm sure it still holds up. Like,
yeah. I don't know. It's not even 20 years old yet, is it?
Shrek is, I think it's, if not
about
more
that,
than
yeah.
Close, yeah.
2001, okay, so it's 21 years.
Yeah.
I still don't think it looks too bad just looking at stills, but once again, I don't care how... That didn't look bad to begin with. Like, it doesn't look bad. Yeah, they could make it look prettier, but I don't know. I would still hold off another decade at least to really attempt to improve upon visual, and then you got recast. I would assume, like, otherwise, what's the point in a remake? Are you going to keep the same cast?
No, I think that's why they're doing the remake. A, because Hollywood's out of ideas, and B, because, like, the cast is getting older. So
yeah, Mike Myers and Eddie Murphy aren't the big thing.
So instead of doing just like another sequel, like years later, let's just reboot it. We can squeeze lemon out of a stone.
Hollywood's doing it, keeping it real. I need to throw out something I meant to mention when I was talking about 9. So I know I was talking to Kevin about how much I hate Rotten Tomatoes website, and like one of the first things that you read about 9 is, it's basically the same old normal story. I'm like, oh, okay. I've seen plenty of animated movies that involve puppets in a steampunk universe where a scientist splits his soul into 9 pieces into a talisman, and really, like, that's been done before. Per Rotten Tomatoes, that's what it sounds like. So, kudos to Rotten Tomatoes.
All right, are we gonna cut another break here?
Yep. Yeah.
All right, guys, you got Part B giving us the rest of our top 5s for the CGI movies. We'll be back in a Part C discussing our top 5 traditional animated movies. See ya.